all, thank you, Trevor, and the entire TMS team for this very extinguished event, and for Sheikh Khalid for his insightful thoughts within the industry. Maybe let me start with a question. You've seen there was a big, huge bulk carrier in the back of the stage there. And I guess a lot of you is wondering what a bulk carrier is doing in a tanker conference. Very good question. It's because it's a Asyad Shipping bulk carrier. No, that wasn't the answer. It's mainly because I think the team at the C-Trade, they also believe that profitability and sustainability are no longer opposing factors. They are two faces of the same coin. And that is the main reason. And this is where we need to be. We need to be looking after all our own sustainability. And this is just to back what Sheikh Khalid just said. We believe in protecting the environment, but we need to do it in a phased manner. We don't need to just run and keep doing things without even calculating it and seeing the impact of it commercially as well as operationally. And with that, I'll start my presentation, if it is there. But anyway, so it's as a keynote. So for us, it's actually the questions that we keep asking ourselves. What does the tanker market, where does it stand as of today? And what are the practical measures that we need to take in order to mitigate the risks that we see every now and then in the tanker segment? And what keeps us awake as ship owners, ship managers, and operators? I believe that these questions are quite common with every one of us in here who operate tankers. And for us, when it comes to the first question, where does the market stand? I think we've seen it 5 months ago or 6 months ago. A VLCC in the spot market could maybe barely make $20,000 a day. Yesterday, it was $122,000 a day. And that didn't come over time. It just happened over the last couple of weeks where the market spiked, which makes it very difficult for us to plan. You know, we get a lot of push from our board and from the decision makers to fix ships on long term. And then we miss these spikes in the market. We miss the good opportunities where we can make a lot of money. So the freight has actually shown renewed strength. We are gaining momentum. How long will that stay for? We don't know. And nobody can give that magic answer. But there's also one thing, which is the geopolitical friction. And that keeps ongoing. Most visibly, of course, the attacks in the Red Sea, okay, it has slowed down recently because of the peace process that has gone on in the Middle East. And also, there's the rise in the trade friction, I would say, in terms of retaliation tariffs between the mega economies in the world. I think that is impacting every one of us in this room in here. When it comes to the regulatory pressure from the IMO and from the national measures, it's an ongoing. We know that the IMO MEPC 83 has been adjourned for 1 year. It's good in a sense that so that we can recalibrate, we can look how we can do things in a better way, but eventually we will need to be prepared to take the challenge forward because it is going to happen. Maybe it has been adjourned for 1 year, but that doesn't mean that it has been stopped forever. So we need to be prepared for what's going to come in the future. Moving forward, what keeps us as owners, managers, and operators awake at night? As I said, the geopolitical and operational risk, that is the major thing that keeps changing every now and then. The transition through the Red Sea needs to be always evaluated whether that is the best thing or to go through the Cape of Good Hope. We need to have a commercial calculation of what is the best route to figure out, as well as there's the elevation in the war risk insurance premium, which is happening, and that is impacting our operating cost as well. So we need to put all this together and ensure that we have a contingency basket of money sitting next to us, where we can just maybe visit it from time to time to ensure that our operation continues. The trade policy fragmentation is also another thing, which is keeping us awake at night. And that is basically in the past, when we used to do things in terms of time charter, things were quite fine. Nowadays, it's difficult. With all the challenges coming in, we need to include a lot of things in our time charter agreements. We need to think about the cost of the premium in terms of the insurance premiums, war risk insurance premiums, as well as the port cost that keeps changing. When a ship is calling the US or a ship is calling China, for example, there are a lot of things that are not yet seen, and things could change overnight. And we need to be prepared for these sort of challenges. The market volatility and insurance squeeze is also another thing. As I told you in the example, a tanker that was $20,000 a day a few months ago, now it's $120,000 a day. So who can plan that? And who has the magic stick to basically find out what's going to happen tomorrow? And what sort of decision that we take today, and it's not going to impact us negatively tomorrow. That is something we need to think of. There's also the transition and regulatory risk, which we talk about it when it comes to the IMO, the national and the geographical things. We all know about the EU ETS. We know about the IMO, which is going to come. Who knows tomorrow what's going to happen in this region or maybe in the other major economy in the world. Maybe they'll come up with their own new requirements, which we will have to abide by as ship owners and ship operators. But of course, we should not stop. We should always plan to do things. We should always have the courage to take tough decisions. And we need to take that into two, I believe, we need to take that into two steps. One as immediate, and the other one as a strategic direction. So we need to treat the routing first. I think in our time charter, we need to think about what sort of route that we take, what sort of insurance that we need to cater for, what sort of operation we need to think of. What is the kind of training that we need to give to our crew? These are all important. And I think it's always good to have a TCE or time charter equivalent modeling as a scenario, whether to cross the Red Sea or to go through the Cape of Good Hope. And then by providing two different quotes to the cargo owner, we can always be seen as transparent as possible, because you don't wait for a surprise to happen. You try to be a step ahead of it. And then we need to negotiate stronger contracts as well. And that can happen only when we use the right language. Nowadays, we know that a comma in a contract can make a difference. We have very good legal teams that can actually change things and change fact. And then say, well, there's quite an argument on this clause because of that comma put before this word. And things could change. So we need to make sure that our contracts are always looked at nicely by the right people. And if we have to spend money in drafting contracts, then I think it's better to spend some money upfront in order to save the bigger money coming forward. Then we need to diversify our commercial exposure. So there should be maybe a long-term or medium to long-term contracts, as well as maybe take the hit sometimes when it comes to the spot market. If it is weak today, then the market could spike tomorrow. It all depends on our strength. How long can we sustain a weaker market? But we should not put all our eggs in one basket and just go for long-term contracts and forget about the opportunities that the market can offer when the spot market spikes. And this is something I think it's a good learning. For us as ship owners and ship operators, we do suffer from short-term memories, unfortunately. We do have fish memories because we are related to sea, and that is a problem. We need to change that fact. Who has basically the treatment for that one? I don't know. Perhaps Ali Shahab there, because he's laughing. I guess he has it. So if you can provide that insight, Ali, I would be really grateful. Because we want to run away from this fish memory thing. It is killing us. And then last but not least is basically to strengthen our insurance and crisis playbook. And if you've noticed, I kept repeating the word insurance. The P&I clubs, they are going to announce an increase this year again. And they kept doing that. already it's in the market, minimum of 9% increase, in terms of P&I general increase. I mean, last year we also had an average of 7.5%. Next year, maybe another 10%. For how long can we sustain that? So we need to think about how can we cater for the insurance increase, which is happening every now and then. In terms of long term, I think when it comes to the policy engagement, we've seen it, and this is a very good example of how ship owners and the authorities, they work together, and we try to engage and work together. We've seen also how strong different countries were together in terms of involving their shipping lines and shipping companies to debate with the IMO last time. Yes, I know maybe there was one strong voice that put everything back on track, I would say. But even with that one, there's a lot of us in here also put a lot of effort in order to ensure that, yes, we look after the environment, but we need to do it in a phased manner and in a more calculated approach. The financial hedging is important when it comes to leasing and when it comes to financing our assets. It is important so that we can also benefit from the market when, as of now, when the rates are down compared to the high rates a couple of years ago. So we need to make sure that we have a flexible sort of agreement where we can move from one financing model to another. When it comes to the business modeling, again, the lifting of premiums needs to be looked at. And last but not least is the policy and engagement. Again, I would repeat that it is important for the shipping companies to be involved with their authorities in order to strengthen the position of shipping. For us, as Sheikh Khalid said, during COVID, everything stopped. Shipping didn't. And that is an important fact that we always need to think of. We are very important, but we are unfortunately not very much involved when it comes to policy making and when it comes to legislation, even at our own areas and in countries. So we need to have that sort of access to having a better, maybe, knowledge when it comes to legislations and, access to the authorities. Last but not least, and then I run out of time, but then these are our insights. We believe for us in Asyad Shipping that these things, if followed, can actually help us as a region to work together as shipping companies. We are here, as I was telling some of my colleagues, we are here to complement each other. We are not here to compete with each other. Every one of us has got their own unique offerings. So we need to stick to the strong points where we have our own offerings, but we can also offer knowledge and we can also offer collaboration with each other, and we take it from there in order to have the right voice in the industry and to ensure that we make a difference. With that, I conclude my presentation. I thank you very much for this gathering. Thank you.